Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you just a little bit about this new software package called ChatGTP. Now, some of you may be very familiar with ChatGTP, others this may be the first time you've ever heard of it. So let's talk just a little bit about what ChatGTP is. This is an artificial intelligence software that has recently become available online. It's completely free. And the way it works is you post some type of question, some type of information that you want, and ChatGTP will develop content based on what you just asked it. So suppose you're writing a paper on the death penalty and you want to compare and contrast paper looking at the pros and cons of the death penalty. And you want it to be a 5-page paper. You can put in ChatGTP, please write a 5-page discussion of the pros and cons of the death penalty. And it will produce that content, original content that won't be found on a lot of plagiarism checkers because it's not been used before. It's original content created by this artificial intelligence. Now, a lot of people in academics are kind of in uproar about this. We're kind of catching up to understand it, trying to catch up to understand the implications of this new software. But I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk to you about what ChatGTP and other AI software packages can mean in our classroom. Okay, so I'm not talking about anybody else's classes. I'm only talking about classes that I teach at KCTCS. So this information, this discussion is not relevant for any other class you take here or anywhere else you decide to go to finish your academic career. I think that this type of technology has some great benefits, but I also think it has some risks. I have used it over the past month or two to try to understand its limitations and its capabilities. And I think I've come to the conclusion that we as a class, now not as a system, not as speaking for academics as a whole, but in my classes, I think the use of ChatGTP is acceptable. Now, don't just take that and run with it. Listen to the discussion we're going to have first. There are some very important reasons why I have decided that ChatGTP should be used in our classes. If a student chooses to use them. I'm not saying you have to, but if you do, why it shouldn't be considered cheating in my classes and why it is a useful technology for us to use. I thought it'd be kind of fun just to look. I asked ChatGTP to create a paragraph discussing the benefits of allowing students to use ChatGTP in the classroom. And this is actually what ChatGTP told me. I won't read it for you. It's up there if you want to read it. But it's really kind of detailed about why it feels that ChatGTP has benefits for students. But let me go over why I feel, after having used it for about a month or two, ChatGTP has benefits for the students that are in my classes. The number one reason is because this technology is not going away. You can't wish it away. It's here. And it's going to get better and it's going to improve. And that's just the reality that we got to live in. And so for the better, for the worse, I'm not saying if it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's reality. As this technology gets better and gets more, people get more used to it, you're going to see it being picked up by industry, which means that someday in your career, you're probably going to be using ChatGTP or some other AI software with similar capabilities. You're probably going to be using that to do things like write police reports, do legal briefs, write pre-sentence investigations, those types of things. So it's really important. I feel like it'd be a disservice to our students if I looked at you and said, you can't get your feet wet with the technology now. You can't become literate with the technology now because you're going to be someday using that. And part of my job is to prepare you for those careers, not just the careers as they are now, but the careers as they're going to be 5-10 years down the road. So that's one of the really important key reasons why I thought ChatGTP should be used in my classrooms. The second reason is because ChatGTP is not a perfect piece of software. And this is the part I wanted you to hang around for. if you think that you're just going to type in, let's go back to the death penalty part example. If you think that you're just going to type in, give me that 5-page essay discussing the pros and cons of the death penalty, and it's going to create it, and you're going to copy it, and you're going to paste it, and you're going to turn that in, that's going to be acceptable and get you a good grade, you're sadly mistaken. This is a tool. And like any tool, a calculator in math class, you still got to know the formulas in a lot of cases. This is a tool. And so you still have to know the material and you have to do the work. So what will ChatGTP produce with that particular post? Well, it's going to produce something that's going to be very basic. The information may or may not be correct in different parts because ChatGTP does do a very poor job of filtering out problematic information. It just pulls from its sources and puts in the paper. And so you have to know a little bit about what you're talking about so that you can go through and go, yeah, that's good information. No, that's information that's probably misleading. Another thing it's not going to do is it's not going to give you the paper you want at first pass. At first pass, it's going to put out something that's very GTP-ish. Having used it for a month or two, I've already recognized that there's a real pattern with the data output of ChatGTP. It tends to have a certain way that it writes. And you can change that and work on it, but it takes you honing it in and reading the material and going back and asking it and tweaking your question and massaging the question. You have to go through that process several times. So as you're going through this process, you're constantly reading the material that it's producing. You're checking it for accuracy. You're thinking critically about, is this the information that I need? How might I need to rephrase my question? What might I need to do to get the actual information that I need in a way that is acceptable for a research paper? And so as you do that, you're thinking critically. You're also learning a lot about whatever it is that you're researching because you're continuing to go over this information time and time again. So learning's happening. You're learning a lot about the content and whatever it is you're researching. You have to have some background in that to understand what's truthful and what's problematic information in the paper. And you also have to go back and check references and work with the references because ChatGTP will not put in-work citations into your paper. So you'll have to go back in and do that and make those corrections. So ultimately, if you use ChatGTP, it's going to be a process. It's not going to be as simple as a lot of people make it sound, where you just put in your question and it pops out the answer and you copy and paste and life is beautiful. Instead, it's going to be, it pops out something that kind of answers the question, but not in a format or in a way that you really need it to, and you've got to work with it and change it and check accuracy and all those things to make it morph into something that is usable that you can put into your paper. So ChatGTP does a good job of helping you write your paper, but I don't think it does the complete job by itself, at least at this point. Also, ChatGTP has a benefit in that we all get writer's block sometimes. You know, you're sitting down to write this paper, you want to write this paper, and you just can't think of what to say, how to start. What are these first few sentences going to look like? ChatGTP does a really good job of getting you started so that you can run with whatever topic it is. Okay, so it's really good for that. It will do things like create outlines. Suppose you're writing a rather large paper. We don't have any in our classes that are really that large, but you might if you go on into your bachelor's or graduate degree. It'll give you outlines, and you can massage and change those to get the outline that fits what you're going to want to research and look at. So there's a lot of good things that ChatGTP does, but there's a lot of work on it on your end to make it what you really need. And the work on your end to get what you need out of it, to me, checks all the boxes of critical thinking, of knowing the content, of being able to gauge the accuracy of the content, of doing the sourcing and things that you need to do. So to me, it's a really good tool for you to use. It helps you get ready for industry changes that are undoubtedly coming in the future, and not like far in the future, but in the next 5-10 years, maybe even sooner, the way things are moving. And so I see a lot of benefits, but most of the drawbacks I'm kind of not seeing in a class like the ones that I teach. Ultimately, there will be some students who will try to use ChatGTP as the begin all and end all. And what I mean by that is they'll, unfortunately, put in the information. So ask for that paper on the death penalty, and whatever ChatGTP comes up with on first pass, they're going to copy and paste it and submit it. And I can tell you right now that's going to be a disastrous paper. Not because I'm going to necessarily recognize that it came from ChatGPT. I am, but I'm not going to accuse a student of that because there's no evidence. And I would never accuse a student of something that I didn't have evidence to back up whatever that accusation was. So the paper, though it's not going to have references, some of the information is probably going to be misleading or inaccurate. It's not going to be written so much in the tone and voice and prepared in the way that you want it to do because you haven't taken the time to revise and edit and change the, kind of massage your question and get what you want out of it. So those students aren't going to do well on the paper anyway, probably. But the student that uses it as an important tool in helping them guide their research and guide their work, I think it can be a very powerful tool for them. And it can also be preparatory for what they're going to do in their careers. So with that said, if you have any questions about ChatGTP, about using it in my classroom, again, this is only about my classes. Please email me, let me know, and I'll be happy to work with you on any of that. Have a great day, and I can't wait to see you again.